Have you ever asked yourself, will I ever get to retire? And I'm sure that came with some stress too, right? Or fear, or even dread. I've been hearing so many people talk about this now, about their savings. People are worried. They're worried about their retirement, but also they're really worried about their relevancy, their future, and how they're going to live as they get older. Now, today, I want to offer a different way to think about retirement. Not just the day you stop working, but as looking at it as a beginning of a new chapter, a pivot, a reinvention, a chance to ask yourself, what do I want to create now? Because you're not done. You are just getting started. Hi there, welcome back to You Can Emerge Positive. I'm Deanne, and I help women who are in the middle of their life see that they are not too late, that they can create a chapter two with clarity and confidence and intention. Now, today I want to talk about retirement. But this is not a financial planning episode. I'm not here to tell you about how much money to save, when to claim your Social Security, or what your investment mix should be. No. That's a conversation you absolutely should have, but with your financial professional, okay? But today I want to talk about the mindset of retirement. Because for many people, the idea of retirement brings fear. I mean, will I have enough? Will I still matter? What will I do with my time? Who will I be if I'm no longer working at the job that I've been at for the last 20 years? Well, and with Father's Day coming up this weekend, I want to honor the dads and the husbands, the fathers, the grandfathers, and the father figures who have worked so hard, sacrificed so much, and often carried the pressure of providing for their families. That matters, and legacy matters. But so does creating the life that you want next. I've heard this question more than once lately. Will I ever get to retire? And it's almost never asked lightly. It usually comes with stress and fear and a sense of exhaustion. A sense of I've worked so hard and I'm still not certain what the future looks like. That's scary. I mean, I understand why people feel that way. There are a lot of scary headlines out there, articles about retirement savings and Social Security coming to an end, inflation going up, people are working longer, people are not feeling prepared. And yes, those are very real concerns. But I think there's another layer to this conversation that we don't talk about enough because retirement is not just a money question. It's also an identity question. It's a purpose question and it's a relevance question. It asks, who am I without the title? Who am I without the schedule? Who am I without the role that I've played for decades? And for many of us in midlife, that question can really be daunting and unsettling because we're not just thinking about someday. We're close enough now to realize like this next chapter is coming and I want it to matter. I remember when 401ks started replacing pensions way back when. And at the time, saving for retirement felt kind of absurd to me. I mean, I was barely making enough money just to live. The idea that I had to find extra to save for something that was 30 years away seemed just crazy to me. And honestly, I was so bad with money when I was in my younger years, and I did not have a retirement savings account for the first couple of jobs that I had. And I think I was almost 30 before I finally understood the value of a retirement plan. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know so many people look back and think, oh, I wish I had started earlier. I wish I understood this sooner. I wish I had made different choices. But shame does not create a better future. Awareness does. Responsibility does. And choosing differently from where you are today does. Retirement has changed so much. Back in 1935, that's when the Social Security Act was signed, okay, in 1935. At that point, age 65 became the original retirement age that was used for Social Security. Now, at that time in 1935, the average lifespan for men was 59.9 years, and for women, it was 63.9 years. Okay? So the retirement age was actually higher than your lifespan. That meant you worked your entire life. There was no time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? So the whole idea of retirement looked very different than it does today. Now, people are, of course, they're living longer and they're living healthier. The CDC actually reported the US life expectancy reached 79 years old in 2024. And the Social Security full retirement age is now 67 for people born in 1960 or later. So our retirement age is 67, but our average lifespan now is 79. So, the whole idea of retirement that, it used to end at the very end of your life is now, you've got 20 to 40 years left afterwards. So it begs the question of what are you going to do after you retire? Now, for some people, the idea of having nothing to do sounds wonderful. For others, it's terrifying. But for many people, it's just not financially realistic. So maybe the better question is not when do I get to stop? But maybe the question is, what do I want this next chapter to feel like? What do I want it to look like? I mean, if we're talking 20 to 40 years, we need to be intentionally thinking about what it is that we want to create. My brother-in-law just retired. He had spent 30 years on the force as a police officer. 30 years. And I remember, like, he was dating my sister when he got this job offer at the that he just retired from. And I can't believe like 30 years just went by in a blip. It just boom, gone. And he was so excited. This was the career that he had dreamed of. But now, here's the thing. He's retired. He's still young. He's healthy. He's energetic. He's way too young just to sit around to do nothing. So the question really becomes, what is next? What does his career pivot look like? And I think this is where retirement is really changing because for many people in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, retirement is not about disappearing from life. It's about shifting into a different kind of life. Maybe it's leaving the high pressure job and doing something more meaningful. Or maybe it's consulting or mentoring, starting a small business that you always dreamed of. Maybe it's teaching or volunteering, or maybe it's doing some creative work that you've had all of these ideas in you, and now you finally have the time to write or paint or create music. Maybe it's a fun part-time job that still brings in income, but also connection with people. Maybe it's finally doing the thing that you always wondered about but never had time to explore. That's why I love the phrase pivot with purpose. Because the goal is not just to be busy, the goal is to stay engaged, to stay connected, to stay useful in a way that feels good, to continue participating in life. Because I really believe this we all need something that gives us purpose. It can be a job, can be a hobby, service, creative work, family, community, but we need something that helps us feel like we're still contributing because we are. This isn't just a nice idea. Research have studied longevity for years, and one of the themes that keeps showing up is the importance of social connection. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest running studies on adult life, has repeatedly pointed to close relationships and connection as central to well-being as people age. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we need to be around people. Like we're made to be social beings. We need to be engaged. We need to be contributing. We need the conversations, the laughter. We need the different generations. We need different viewpoints. We need one another. That's why retirement as isolation can be so dangerous emotionally. But what if your entire identity is wrapped into that job that you're just about to leave? And when that job disappears, what happens? Your entire social world was work. And then when work ends, where do you connect with people? If your sense of purpose came only from productivity, what happens when the schedule changes? These are important questions, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because you can take and create a next chapter with meaning. You can create a next chapter with people. You can create a next chapter that uses everything you've learned. Think about it. You spend decades becoming an expert in something: business, caregiving, teaching, medicine, law, parenting, sales, leadership, service, problem solving, human relationships. Just because you reach a certain age doesn't mean your knowledge expires. You're still relevant. Your wisdom still matters. Your experience still matters. Your voice still matters. So stop telling yourself that you're done. You're not done. You may simply be ready for a new expression of who you are. This is exactly why I care so much about the idea of designing your next decade. Because so many people wait until the transition arrives and then they ask, what am I going to do now? But what happens if we started asking better questions before that transition happens? What do I want my next chapter to feel like? What kind of work, if any, do I want to do? How do I want to contribute? Who do I want to spend my time with? What kind of lifestyle do I want? What do I still want to learn? What have I never given myself permission to try? And how do I want to stay engaged in life? And you do. How do you want to stay engaged in life? Now, inside the program Beyond by Emerge Positive, this is the kind of work we do. We don't just talk about goals, we talk about identity. We talk about purpose, possibility, and support, accountability, and what it means to intentionally create the next decade of your life. Because if the old definition of retirement doesn't excite you, you're allowed to create a new one that fits you, one that supports you, one that feels meaningful, one that brings you joy. You don't have to follow someone else's script. You can write your own. So, here is your reset practice for this week. Ask yourself, when I think about retirement or my next chapter, what emotion comes up first? Is it excitement? Is it fear? Confusion? Relief? Dread? Maybe it's curiosity. Whatever it is, identify that and then ask yourself, what would make this next chapter feel meaningful to me? Not impressive, not perfect, not what everyone else expects, meaningful to you. And one more question. Where do I still want to participate in life? Because that is the key, participation. We are not meant to disappear from life as we age. We are meant to keep becoming, maybe in a softer way, maybe in a wiser way, hopefully, maybe with more freedom, more choice, but still becoming. So, this is where the reset can help as well. Because if you are feeling like you need more time to identify what it is that you're looking for, who you are now, who you are becoming, the reset is a quick 10-minute guide on how you can start your mornings with calm and clarity and start your day so that you're creating something good every day. You're starting from a place of clarity and alignment. It's free. Just go to emergepositive.com. It's a PDF document. It is something that you curate for yourself. So this is an idea book for you to choose from to create something that's meaningful for you. And I promise you, it works. So, before I close out today, I want to take a moment to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, all the father figures, all the grandfathers, all the husbands, and I just want to say to the ones that we love and are thinking about this weekend, I hope you have a great Father's Day. And I especially want to give a shout out to my husband and to my dad. My dad worked 6 days a week for most of my life to elevate our family beyond the life that he knew as a child. And that kind of dedication stays with you. So, Dad, thank you. Thank you for the sacrifices, and thank you for being the example. Thank you for dedicating so much of your life to us. I love you. And to anyone who's listening who has carried the weight of providing, working, sacrificing, and showing up for the people that you love, I hope this next chapter gives you something back too. Not just rest, but meaning. Not just break, but joy. It's not just an end, it's a beginning, a new beginning. So don't let fear shape your next chapter. Instead, ask yourself, what do I want to create now? Make it meaningful, make it joyful, make it yours. You're not done. You're just getting started. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And remember, you can emerge positive. I'll see you next week.